You're listening to episode 79 of Fresh Floppies.
You say Floppies?
What?
Like the fallopian tubes?
Who?
Fresh fallopian tubes.
Where?
Yeah. What's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? Welcome to Fresh Floppies, a show where Noel and I, JD, we discuss the new comic books that come out this week.
Stories.
Yes. We read our stories.
We read our stories every week.
And then we talks about them.
We see a floppy is a single issue comic book collected on a monthly ongoing story. Well, they come out weekly, but they're collected monthly.
Yes.
Sometimes bi-weekly. Whatever. It's an ongoing story about your
it.
favorite characters, and we're here to talk about them. So when you go to the shop, when you go to your local comic shop, wherever it is.
By the way, go to your local comic shop, wherever it is.
You're equipped with knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge of what to read next.
Yeah.
We're gonna spoil these?
We're not gonna spoil.
We're not gonna spoil. Okay,
we're not gonna get out of here with nonsense.
But the first book we're gonna talk about is I guess it's the biggest book that came out this week. It's really hard to gauge. It's my biggest book.
It's
that
your
came out
biggest
this
book.
week.
Yeah.
That's Ultimate Universe year what? Not year one.
1 year in.
1 year in.
Nailed it.
Number one.
Yes.
Marvel Ultimate Universe 1 year in. Number one. Written by Dennis Camp with art by Jonas Scharf. Scharf. That's a wonderful name. So this book, I think last time it came out, we both kind of agreed it's the best Ultimate book. Ultimates.
By this, you mean Ultimates? Yes.
Well, I mean, this is a continuation of Ultimates for a lot. Yeah, in a lot of ways. It's like if the Ultimate Universe had annuals.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Ooh.
So this is like an annual that mostly touches on what's happening in the Ultimates book, with a little bit of like Easter eggs about some of the other books, as well as teases another book that's coming out soon in the Ultimate Universe. So with that said, we both are big fans of this creative team and this title. What did you think of?
Is Scharf drawing?
No.
Okay, cool. We're both, we both enjoy the Ultimates. I've been saying that I've been telling all my customers, like, actually, I kind of think it might be my favorite of the Ultimate books right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was really looking forward to this, and I see Nick Fury's on the cover there, and I was like, whoa, what's this guy up to? And I will tell you that this is solid. I'm not entirely sure it is a necessity. If you're reading Ultimates and you want more Ultimates, or you're in on the Ultimate Universe, great, grab it. Story-wise, I'm not sure we wind up in a different place at the end of this than we started. But it is a fun read.
Oh, I disagree.
Tell me more.
More so, like, this is the most we've gotten regarding how this world works since Ultimate Invasion.
Yeah, it's true.
So like we pull back, like in the Ultimates book, we've been very narrow focused on them building their network to fight this council, the Makers Council. Yeah. But we very rarely actually see any of the members of the Makers Council. Like some of them are working. Ra and Khonshu are over in the Black Panther book. Kingpin and his like kind of faction in regional New York is over in the Spider-Man book, and I am not sure what's happening in the X-Men book. I kind of fell off around 5 or 6, but. They're like the Eurasia stuff over with the mutants is over there. So like they're kind of touching. This is the first time that all of that is under one roof, and we are introduced to a peacekeeping organization that works for the council. Make the Maker happy. Or make the Maker proud.
Think S.H.I.E.L.D.
Think S.H.I.E.L.D.
A little bit like S.H.I.E.L.D.
And I don't know, like I know that like how this book transpired, what eventually transpired was like, but I do think that a lot happened. This is like, it feels like a big old annual. No, we're not following that one or two characters from the last book into the next book. But I do think that this feels pretty vital in regards to how they're going to handle the next year. Because this whole Ultimate experiment is predicated on 2 years that the Maker is locked in the city with Howard Stark. Yeah. And this is 1 year in. And I don't know. This feels, even though it doesn't feel like character important, it feels plot important. Okay. To me.
Right on.
So what did you think of the art?
Oh.
Jonas?
It is.
Jonas.
It is very fine. It is perfectly cromulent.
Oh, I think it's better than cromulent. He's got a couple of he's got some like so I'm not familiar with this artist.
No.
He's got some Laniel Yu funness.
I was thinking Jeff
happening.
Shaw a little bit.
A little bit of Jeff Shaw also. There is an exaggerated realism to his pencils, which kind of work in a couple of these sequences. We get this also kind of deals with. So the concept of this ultimate universe is that the maker has been using a time machine to go and prevent heroes from happening.
Yes.
And then the terrorists, the ultimates, try to reverse some of that by re-engaging or reigniting these heroes.
Yes.
We get a little bit more about what's happened over the last 60 years in regards to how they've dispatched or replaced or whatever some like classic characters, which again, I kind of dig that stuff. The Ultimate Universe should be like a crazy big what if, and this feels more.
Oh,
like this feels more like a crazy big what if than honestly than Absolute does, and that the old Ultimate Universe did. The old Ultimate Universe was like, oh, we're just gonna restart continuity in modern. Cool. Yeah. This actually is kind of like we're going to change absolutely everything. Yeah. I think that's really fun. I like this a lot. Yeah,
I agree with. This is the first time that I have a better understanding of how this world is working and how it's been divvied up. So yeah, it's important with regard to the greater Ultimate Universe. But yeah, by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay.
You can't even talk about the emotion felt because that would be a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of there's a nihilism in this book that feels realistic, but also can become tiresome. So far, in the Ultimates book at least, so far that nihilism is explored and then in the very last 2 or 3 pages kind of pulls you out of.
You get a little, it's more even.
Yes. This is
balanced.
Mostly look how awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is a little bit, it's a little less superhero.
Yeah.
A little more
super villain.
We're all fucked.
Yeah. All that being said.
Great.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Dennis Camp is quickly becoming one of my favorite writers.
Pretty dang fresh. So Superwoman, DC presents All In Superwoman Special Lois Lane Woman of Steel one shot.
Number 1.
By Joshua Williamson.
With art by, there's a couple of artists. We've got Edwin Gelman, Laura Braga, and Nicola Zemencic.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think I crushed it.
Yeah.
No notes.
I have a couple notes. What did you think of this issue?
I liked the story.
Yes.
I struggled with the art.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. So the first artist. So I'm not all three. So first of all 3 of these artists, I think their page layout is great.
Yeah.
I think the pacing is great.
Yeah.
I wonder if their remit was to mimic other artists that have worked on this book, because the first artist seems to be a not so great facsimile of Jamal Campbell.
Yup.
The second artist is like a fine facsimile of kind of like a Gleb Menelkov or a John Sims. And then the last one is just, it's like blocky, weird, almost anime chibi looking.
Yeah.
It just does not fit the rest of the book at all.
No.
So the story is rad. Like,
yeah.
Lois Lane is now Superwoman, and she has I guess a girls' night out with Wonder Woman with Supergirl and Lana Lang, who's
also Superwoman. Yeah. Also, I forgot Lana Lang was still Superwoman. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was originally introduced like back in New 52.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, right?
And then they played with it a little bit.
It was called Superwomen.
They played with it in Rebirth a little bit. I guess so. She's also with John Irons, right?
Is she?
I guess so.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a continuity. Look, there's a lot of times when things will happen. Characters I haven't seen for a while will just like show up in a book, and I just have to trust the writer.
Yeah.
he's up to date or they're up to date on continuity because I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Then we're just all walking internet forums and the world would suck.
Everything except the art was great.
Yeah, it's a really fun story.
And even I would say the first two thirds were pretty solid, and then the last third, art wise, I was just like, oh, geez, this is rough.
It was pretty solid, absolutely, but I also, I think the coloring falls apart halfway through that first artist. It becomes almost like digital Salvador La Roca looking over the top of like a Jamal Campbell style. Mm-hmm. That last page is actually kind of like, if they went with that exaggerated art style through the whole book and that last page, it would have been a completely different experience. But it just seems like, is it DC house style to just like kind of stay within a boundary? Like, hey, the visual. So I don't know. I can go two ways with this.
Okay.
If the visual aesthetic of a book is established, when you're trading out artists, you want to maintain kind of that visual aesthetic in order to like, so it's not jarring.
Yeah.
Like, worst example, from Clayman to Liam Sharp in Batcat.
Oh my God.
Like,
yes.
Absolutely, completely different, ruined the momentum of the book.
Actually stopped reading because of it.
Yeah. But then there's things like this where they have artists do what I think are poor attempts at mimicking another person's style.
Yeah.
Couldn't it just be like, as long as it's within the same ballpark, you don't have to like fake it that hard. I don't know. But then again, I don't know really anything about these artists. Maybe this is their style.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like an editorial mandate to make it match for the trade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least the effort's being made, as opposed to the Liam Sharp snafu.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm two minds about it. Like, sometimes you notice it when it's so close, it feels uncanny versus just a radical change.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of where I fell on this. Story-wise,
Gotcha.
awesome. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we were kind of wondering, so anyone who doesn't know, during Absolute Power, everyone's powers were taken away, and then at the end, whoop, everyone got their powers back. However, there was some switcheroos. Some people got other people's powers, etc. And so the question was like, well, Superman still has his powers. So how did she get her powers? And so this sort of explains that, and this was really good. I really liked it a lot. Joshua Williamson has he's converted me. Like, his Superman stuff has all been really solid. I really like it.
Yeah, I like his Superman stuff. So I've been dipping in and out of it. This is honestly, like, I've been so on and off the book, but always happy. I think this is just going to end up being like I'm going to read the whole collection when it's done.
Yeah.
Because there's rumors that they're going to relaunch the book, and if he's not on it, then that means there's going to be a big collection too.
I would say this is also pretty dang fresh.
Pretty dang fresh. Speaking of ratings, Laura Kinney, Wolverine, #1.
Legacy number 69. Nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Written by Erica Schultz with art by Belviso.
Giada Belviso.
What did you think? We both love Laura.
I'm all in on Laura.
I read the entire Tom Taylor. I'm Twitter now. The entire Tom Taylor all new Wolverine run, which was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so good.
She was one of the brightest spots in all things Krakoa.
Yep.
I absolutely love Laura, and I want to see her supersede Logan in all ways.
Given my druthers, I would prefer Laura to Logan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd much rather read her.
I think Logan does too.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
He keeps telling her, "You're Wolverine." I was really looking forward to this. Like, oh, she's got her own series coming out. Fantastic. And she's not X-23 again. I feel like it's been a little uneven. Her last book was called X-23, even though she was Wolverine. Mm-hmm. And it felt like a step backwards. So I'm glad that she's Wolverine again. And this feels a lot like the Psylocke series that just started last month, where we have a killer trying to not be as much of a killer and also find a purpose after Krakoa.
Is it bother you that their purpose is the same thing?
A little bit. That's what I'm getting at. It feels a lot like, because I really like Psylocke, but now that I'm reading this, I go, oh, okay, I just read Psylocke. Feels very similar.
Do you think the X editorial probably should have been like, hey, the plots are basically the same.
Yeah.
Maybe we should approve one and not the other, or switch it. Yeah.
Now, there are elements to this that I really like the Krakoa tree knot, which I won't spoil. The Krakoa tree knot was like, oh, cool. All right. That's kind of neat. I like that. And it makes a lot of sense given what's been going on in the world of Marvel. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I thought this was just fine.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, so I really like Erica Schultz. I think she's a absolutely wonderful writer. She did all the Hallows Eve stuff. She's worked on a couple of
right.
I think she was did some Spider-Man stuff. There's another miniseries I'm forgetting, but she's wonderful.
I want to say maybe Squirrel Girl?
No,
never Squirrel Girl.
That was I think only one person's ever.
Was that only Ryan North?
I think it was only Ryan North. You're thinking Erica Henderson as his artist.
That's what I'm thinking of.
So I think that this is an incredibly solid story.
Yes.
But the stakes of it and the plot of it feels like a digital comic.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it does.
Like a little bit of also then not necessarily here's this premier character on their own path. Mm-hmm. And I think I would feel less like that if this didn't just happen in Psylocke's book.
Yeah. Or if this came first.
Yeah, or if this came first. Yeah. And I'm sure these books were pitched in a vacuum. Both characters of Laura and Psylocke have the same or very similar trauma that would lead them in this direction. Yeah. But they've come out 3 weeks from each other or 4 weeks from each other. Like, this is, come on.
Yeah. Also, art was not for me. Really, except for one 2-page splash that I really liked.
I think the action's great, but as soon as it slows down, it gets a little wormy. There's a couple of pages in here where it's just like, what? Backgrounds? Fuck that.
Yeah.
And this is comic books. There is a suspension of disbelief that is baked into the cake, obviously.
Yes.
But there is a sequence here where she's like, oh, Logan's got safe houses everywhere, and good thing I grabbed an extra costume. And it shows her ripping off her clothes, and there's a full costume underneath her clothes. But it's not just like the shirt of the costume, it's
a full costume,
gloves, belts, and a mask underneath the sweater and jeans she was wearing.
I thought the same thing. The old uniforms come in handy.
I'm not asking for 5 panels of her changing clothes.
Yeah.
But as a storyteller or an artist, you can make it not seem so silly that she's wearing gloves underneath her skin.
Yeah.
And a belt underneath her. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it could literally just be a close up of her like ripping the top of her shirt, and you see the X underneath. Like, it doesn't have to be this like very cheesy, because the page before she's in a skin tight sweater.
Yeah.
And now we expect and I know that we expect her to have a full battle costume underneath the skin tight sweater.
Yeah.
I know it's comics.
Yeah.
But the suspension of disbelief falls apart when you make me see the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Like you tease little pieces.
I have a similar thing anytime I think of Clark Kent having on his work clothes and also that giant cape. Where does that giant cape go under his shirt and pants?
I don't know. But you know what though? I never stop and really question it, because they don't show him taking off his shirt and the cape falls out.
Yeah.
They only show him opening it. You know what I mean?
There's no reason that this outfit would fit her skin tight.
Well, the idea that wait, what?
Like, look, the old costumes come in handy. Like, she's wearing one of his old costumes, and yet it is skin tight on her.
Oh, you know what? I read that as just like dropping a modifier. She has
tailored them.
No, she has stuff at his safe houses. She's been using his safe houses. Like, I just like read over it. Like,
oh, I thought those were his old costumes. But I guess she has old costumes. At least
with Logan in Canada, I have access to his safe houses. I have access to his safe houses, so
the old uniforms come in handy.
I put shit in those safe houses.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but you're right. It misses a beat.
Yeah.
And because the art, this is a juxtaposition issue. Like, it misses a beat in the dialogue, but because the art is so like kind of silly of like transforming into a costume.
Yeah, she's shredding. Yeah, her outer layer. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed with this. This is barely fresh for me, even though I'm a huge Laura fan.
I think it's fresh enough because I like the voice, but the plot and the art don't push it past that.
Are you reading NYX?
I read the first 2 issues.
I read the first one. Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. Because she's in that as well. It's her, Kamala, and...
I love Jackson and Kelly, the writers. I really didn't care for the art at all.
No, man.
I was just going to wait and see how things went.
Yeah. I'm having a lot of trouble with some of the X art.
I'm having a lot of trouble with any of the X books that aren't just the main 2.
Uncanny and adjectiveless.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, like...
Well, Psylocke was great.
But it was fine.
Yeah. I really liked it.
I mean, I liked it, but... After that issue was over, I felt nothing in regards to, I can't wait to finish this.
What's going to happen next?
It was just more like cool, this is solid.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, there was no, the only, even X Factor?
Yeah.
X Factor.
X Factor.
Love Mark Russell. It's his normal shtick. I'll read it later. Like, I felt no, like, impetus to keep going. It feels like all the books are disconnected and there's 500 of them.
Yeah, well, dude,
Dazzler,
the same problem.
Dazzler was pretty boring.
Phoenix
is the only one I didn't read. But I heard it's cool. Like, yeah, the Phoenix should be a cosmic level threat. Let's do it. Yeah. But yeah.
Especially going from David Lopez on All New Wolverine, like that's sort of the style I'm used to for Laura, and this is not doing it.
It's got a digital first kind of feel to it.
It really does.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some. I got a DC book here. It's DC Presents All In Black Lightning #2 by Brandon Thomas and Fico Asio.
Yes.
Yeah, nailed it. So I read issue 1 and I quite enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you did.
Nope.
No. So I read issue 2. And I quite enjoyed it. I will say there are some storytelling issues here that are a little uneven and confusing. Mm-hmm. That does not take away from the net positive, I think, of this series. So far, I'm really enjoying. It's less about Jackson Pierce?
Yeah, Jefferson.
Thank you. Jefferson Pierce, Black Lightning. And it's more about sort of his family, Jennifer Pierce and Anissa Pierce, who are Lightning and Thunder and Lightning, his daughters. And during Absolute Power, I don't think we spoiled this last time, during Absolute Power, it's revealed in the first issue of Black Lightning that him and his whole family were out there flying around doing the stuff, and then they lost their powers mid-flight.
All of them?
Yes.
Cool.
And now Anissa has been having trouble. So the one sister is totally fine. The other sister is having problems with her powers. And this is really kind of her story. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of interesting. I like the idea of this woman in a family of superheroes all of a sudden not able to just join in and do the things that they've been doing, that they're used to doing, and also having to go to therapy. We see, I don't know if, is it a spoiler, the thing I just told you?
No.
Okay. So what I'm really enjoying about DC right now is also the Watchtower and the way it's been segmented up into different sections, like the shoebox for the Atom. And there's actually, for anyone who read Heroes in Crisis by Tom King and hasn't pushed it out of their brain on purpose, the Sanctuary, which is like a superheroes dealing with PTSD via therapy. There's a section for that on the Watchtower as well. And I was like, I'm such a cool idea. I'm glad they brought that back. So yeah, I think this is actually really kind of solid. I think the art is pretty good.
I'm looking at it from here and it seems fine.
It seems fine, yeah. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
But also, one of the things I like is that it is also dealing with more fallout from Absolute Power, in the way that Amanda Waller has some supporters. Even though she's been tossed away, there are people who are picking up the baton that she left and are running with it, which is pretty cool.
Waller was right.
Yes, actually.
So would you, if anybody enjoyed the first issue, pick this up? Should they go back to the first issue?
If you're at all interested in the Black Lightning family, I think this is actually really solid.
Nice, very nice. I am going to talk about a new Batman book. You know what? There's not enough Batman books.
Oh, finally.
I feel like this character is not used at all. Like, and I am always wondering, like, hey, what's going on with Batman now?
Yeah.
What's going on with Batman in his first year? Mm-hmm. What's going on with Batman in the future?
Second year.
What's going on with all Batman's friends? Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a gap in the market.
Yeah. Finally.
So finally, we're getting Batman Dark Patterns, written by Dan Waters with art by Hayden Sherman of Absolute Wonder Woman. Not sure how he's doing 2 books a month, but whatever. This is a book of, again, that gap, Batman's past.
Ah, finally.
But let's say like year 5.
Oh, you know what?
Or
yeah, great.
Year 3.5. Uh-huh. It's the past, but it's not. He's a newbie past.
It's not Purple Gloves past.
No, it's round
bat
signal,
which is actually future bat. That's the Dark Knight Returns. The big round. Right?
No, I thought this was like 80s Batman.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Whatever. It's the past. It's not the future.
It's fine.
His relationship with Gordon is newish, and this is pre-Robin. This is just a pure detective Batman story. He's not as good as he is now, and he makes a little mistakes here and there. The art by Hayden Sherman is really fun. There's a lot of, again, like we were talking about with Absolute Wonder Woman, there's a lot of like J.H. Williams crazy panel layouts. I think it works a little bit better in Wonder Woman because that color palette is lighter and you could really see.
Having a cursory glance at it, very Tim Sale.
Yes,
with all his
it's very
shadow
Tim
work.
Sale. Actually, it's a little bit more Eduardo Russo than it is Tim Sale, especially in a lot of like the figures. Like there's a couple of Batman action scenes that it's like, oh yeah, that's Eduardo Russo.
Oh yeah, that is. It's also a little. Oh, who's the guy that Len really likes?
Aparo?
Marshall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit of Marshall in there.
So like there's sequences where it's just absolutely beautiful and the shading is fantastic and it really works. And then there's a couple of very complicated panel layouts, but every panel has the same kind of color scheme. So the black borders, the black panel breaks are almost invisible and lost.
You lose them, yeah.
So like this is a really, really solid detective book.
Is he detecting?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And there's actually, as far as I can tell, there's a net new villain.
Ooh.
Yeah, who's
that old villain.
Who's pretty. Yeah, that's right. Who's pretty gnarly. Yeah, this
is that good? I was gonna skip it.
I don't understand this series. It's called Batman Dark Patterns. It's a 12-issue series. Oh. But I think...
Sorry, you can't see. My face just fell.
Yeah.
When you said 12, I was like, oh.
But I think it's going to be not... I don't know if Dan Waters is writing all 12, but I'm pretty sure it's a different artist every 3 or so. Mm-hmm. So it's like... think of it as like a extended anthology. So like the first 3 is like this thing, and then... or maybe 4. I don't know. But the impression I got was that this is a bringing it back to just Batman without all of his like experience and toys and things. It's just more like beat cop Batman, which could be really interesting. And for that, this is an incredibly solid book.
Great.
I am not always in the market for old school Batman because I'm just kind of Batmaned out. Yeah, so like this is really, really good. I'll wait and read it some other time.
Yeah.
when I need my Batman itch scratched. But if you're in the bag for all things Batman, you can't go bad with this. This is very solid book.
Just give me the bat stuff. The good bat stuff.
Very solid.
I'm
book.
probably giving this. This was
This is better than long last Hollow Face.
Yeah.
Ween.
Number 2 and 3 are both by Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if Dan Waters stays on and a new artist or if it's a different creative team altogether. If that's the case, then yeah, it could be a really cool experiment of 4 short stories in the Batman universe. It's just cool. It's a cool book.
I'm actually going to check it out. Yeah. And you know what? Before I get an email from someone, that is the logo on this. I'm not thinking of the Dark Knight's bat on his chest. I'm thinking of the way that Frank Miller drew the bat signal.
Oh.
That's very much the bat signal from Dark Knight Returns.
What era is the circle, though? Isn't it the 80s? Isn't it like the...
That's an oval. In the 80s, he had an oval, not a straight circle.
I'm thinking like... No Man's Land style. Like it's like a circle, right?
Maybe.
Like right before he gets broken or right after he gets broken. Like
maybe.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not so far in the bat bag to
It's
say with any certainty.
I recognize it from that era when I wasn't reading Batman because I didn't care. Yeah. Like I was more of an X-Men kid in like the mid 80s, early 90s. And this, it was like, oh, they're going to break his back? Cool. I read that one issue, had no idea what the hell was going on and didn't care.
Oh, I read all that crap. All Nightfall and
I read The Breaking and I read the, Azrael taking over.
Yeah.
Like 2 issues and that was like
costume. But it's so extra.
It was every costume in a blender with knives.
It's so bad, but I saw an action figure of it and I was like, do I want that?
I think
maybe I do.
In my parents' house I still have the foil cover, yeah.
Marvel, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Marvel Animation
presents Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1 by Christos Gage and Eric Gapster.
This is the official prequel to the upcoming Disney Plus series.
Yes.
As according to the cover.
Which at one point was supposed to be directly connected to the home trilogy of Spider-Man. And
now it's multiverse, right?
I heard that it is not quite that. However, reading this, it pretty much is. This is pretty much the continuity from the Tom Holland Spidey.
It seemed like when the show was initially announced, it was like a direct connection. Now it just seems like they don't want to be tied down, and so they'll take what they like of the Tom Holland-ish and just do what else.
So we've got the young Aunt May, but he's not going up against anyone we really know. I'm sorry, from the movies, and we do get his friend in here is a female character that I was not expecting to see.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty cool.
Okay, I didn't read this, but I like the first page, you get their name. Holy crap, that's wonderful.
Yeah. He's got a new partner in, I guess, anti-crime.
Am I going to want to watch this show now?
I mean, I'm definitely going to
How was the comic? How was this book?
It's pretty cute. It is definitely a animated TV show tie-in comic, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's not to say it's bad.
Hey, there's a very specific talent in regards to just doing advertising or
marketing.
No, I was tie-ins. Yes. There's a specific kind of muscle that's flexed where you have to work in a much tighter sandbox.
Yeah.
So these books are never designed to go anywhere other than towards the show.
Yeah.
So the stakes always have to be tiny and nothing really can happen other than some fisticuffs. Is that maintained?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's totally fine.
It's vibes, man. It's just vibes.
I will say, art-wise, very disappointed that it is not Leonardo Romero. Is that the name of the cover artist? Leonardo Romero, who I quite like. And looking at the cover, I was like, oh, man, that's going to be great. It's got Doc Shaner vibes, which I love Doc Shaner. And a little bit of, who did you say?
Cho.
Yeah, Michael Cho. And it's not. The interior is much looser, much more cartoony.
There's, you know what though? There's
not for me.
There's I'm just flipping through it. There's a couple of, I get the delta between the cover and the interior, but I think the interior is not that bad. There's
bad.
There's a couple of facial acting and layouts that kind of remind me of Asrar. Mahmoud
Asrar?
Yeah, because he did I'm sorry, no, Chris Anka.
There we go.
Who did that
Runaways?
Wonderful Run of Runaways, and this totally has that vibe.
I don't see that even the slightest, but
to
each our own.
This is what I'm thinking of. This panel right here. Her facial acting.
Okay.
That's totally Chris Anka.
Okay.
In a good way. But yes, no, this is nothing like the cover.
Yeah, I was really excited. I'm like, oh man, if that's going to be the interior art, I am all ever. Never mind. It's fine.
I think, you know what? You'd
fresh
think
enough.
You or me would learn our lessons.
No.
That these covers never articulate the inside of the book for the most part. Almost never.
Yeah.
So, be better. Be best.
Be best.
Finishing up with everyone's favorite book, The Amazing Spider-Man number 63, Legacy number 957. Written this time by Justina Ireland with art by Gleb Melnikov. So
this is the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, Part 3. Tick tick tick.
Is that what it's called? Tick,
yep.
tick, tick.
Tick, tick, tick.
So I've been having feelings about this book. This is 3 issues in. Not enjoying Joe Kelly's writing, but man, if Ed McGuinness can't draw a book like a mofo, I'm in. This is a new team.
Turns out he didn't draw this.
This is a new team.
Uh-huh.
This is my favorite issue of the book so far.
Ah.
Yep.
All right.
The way that Justina Ireland writes these characters just puts more into contrast how much I'm not enjoying Joe Kelly's.
Gotcha.
Joe Kelly depicts these characters in kind of an Arrested Development cringy way.
Not the TV show.
No, never the TV show. An Arrested Development cringy kind of way, where I feel like he still writes Peter like an idiotic teenager. Not a late 20s, early 30s screw up, but like like I don't know. It's just like the vibe I always get when I read his like almost it's like energetic dialogue, but it's more like breathless, energetic dialogue where it's like everything's in a rush and feels fabricated. Like there's I mean, all dialogue
more
is
like
fabricated.
Deadpool?
A little bit like Deadpool, but more. It feels like a 55-year-old man writing a teenager.
Sure.
Or what is the meme of Steve Buscemi? Like, hello, fellow children.
Hello,
fellow teens.
Yeah.
That's what that book feels like.
Yeah.
And it's doubly weird because they're not teenagers.
Yeah.
They're just, screw-ups. This book, though, there's, like, the way that Justina Ireland writes it, plot-wise, everything is still happening the same way, but there isn't that sheen of like, facsimile of youth.
Hipster?
It's just...
Hip.
It just kind of flows. It's a lot more organic and natural. And then Gleb Melnikov can never be Ed McGuinness.
Nah.
But this maintains the aesthetic of the issues before it.
Yes.
That is not jarring whatsoever, and it services that story to me.
He is a big fan of John Romita Jr.
There is a lot of Romita faces.
Yeah.
Like Romita pursed lips.
Yup. And look at that Spider-Man and that Green Goblin. That is John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
Even though it was John Romita Sr. who drew that panel. That flashback.
So I've like had one foot out the door. I really, really enjoyed this issue a lot, and I want Justina Ireland to take over the book.
Oh, I'm into that. Also, the story is fun.
Yeah, the plot of this book, wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. It's wacky, it's silly, it's also kind of gut-wrenching. And then we've got an awesome teaser or a cliffhanger for the next one. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Stay on this book, Justina Ireland. I don't know who's writing the next issue. It's probably going to be Joe Kelly again. Rumble. Murr.
Oh, how do you feel about Shay?
I think she is a wonderful lady who is going to get her heart broken by Peter. And he's going to rightly end up with Felicia.
Felicia, yeah. Felicia stands on this show.
How do you feel about Mary Jane?
She's good. She's fine. I like her. I had 40 years of her.
Are we as fans supposed to just accept that she is his one true... what do the kids say? OTF, one true L.
Talk
OTL,
about a 55-year-old trying to sound like a teenager.
Look, I'm only 40 something. That's what I'm. There's no premise other than me just like trying to sound like a child. Yeah. Like what do the kids say?
I don't know.
Whatever.
One True Love, OTL.
Sure.
I don't know,
something
man.
like that.
I don't know. I don't.
But
she's fine.
We only think that because they told us to think that, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing organic about. Well, that's not true. She showed up at his house, and Aunt May was like, "Hubba hubba, meet my nephew."
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Basically, yeah.
But I mean, like the fascination with making them get married. I mean, come on, man. I love.
They did it.
I think in hindsight too, and I'm gonna reread it soon. In Brand New Day, I loved when he was with Black Cat and trying to figure out how that works dating
a criminal.
A criminal.
Yeah.
And then they tried to do it again with Zeb Wells' run, and I just like, do it more, please.
Yeah, I like him and Felicia
I want them to be together for a while. Even Nick Spencer's run, when they played with it, was like, that was the best part of Nick Spencer's run.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think everyone hates us for this, but that's fine.
I mean, I love Black Cat. I love Felicia.
You know
what? I think Jed McKay needs to leave X-Men and just write Amazing Spider-Man, and it just be focused exclusively on Black Cat and Peter trying to make their relationship work and save the world.
Agreed.
Yeah. You're welcome, Marvel.
Although I do like him on X-Men right now.
Sure, great.
X-Men and Avengers, that was really fun.
You know, he can do 3 books. He can do 3 books. Why can't he do 3 books?
All right. Anything else you're looking forward to this week? Comic book wise?
Nothing I can think of. I think we hit on what I was really excited about this week. I don't know. Is there anything in the stacks that you saw you can't wait to read?
I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
I'm so tired.
It went well. Oh, the end of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run was collected this week.
The Reckoning War.
The Reckoning War.
Yeah.
I plan on giving that a shot.
We should tell the folks what we're going to be talking about
this week.
On a live stream,
this week.
8 o'clock Wednesday p.m.
This week. We're going to be talking about Wicked and all things Oz with special guests. So if you want to watch it live, it's Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., but don't worry, you can catch it anytime after on both the CultPop YouTube feed as well as the Young Chunk YouTube feed.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So like,
and
comment,
also on
subscribe.
iTunes.
And iTunes. Yeah. Like, comment,
Spotify.
subscribe. Email us if you have any questions or concerns or requests at cultpopgo@gmail.com.
My bad.
And I think that's pretty much it.
It's GTFO.
Yeah.
Got to go open a comic book store and
Back
sell
at you.
Oh, also buy comics. Come buy my comics.
Do.
A million to one. Long, lonely way. Instant replay.
Thank you for listening to the CultPop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.